You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 55.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
Hey, welcome to the podcast, everyone. Hey there, Marshall. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, I wanted to talk about something that you said on a recent podcast that just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks. It was very interesting. And I don't remember your exact words. Maybe you remember your exact words, but it was something along the lines of, I'm trying to let go of my emotional relationship with food. And I thought, wow, that is so profound. I think I even said that on the podcast. That was profound. And so I was thinking about it more, and I'm like, we need to devote an entire podcast to this because it was so profound. So I want to know, Marshall, what does it mean when you say that you have an emotional relationship with food? What do you mean by that?
So I guess how I would describe it, if I had to define it, it would be, for example, if I am bored and I go to the refrigerator, even though I just had lunch, and I go to the refrigerator and I open it up and I'm looking around like, what sounds good? Like, what's going to make me feel better right now because I'm bored and I need something to fulfill. I'm not thinking about it in those terms like, oh, I'm bored. I need to fulfill something. Now that I know what I know, and I can look back on the things that I've done that define my emotional relationship with food, or sometimes when I've had a argument with my husband, and I go to the freezer because I want some ice cream, and I'm not really sure why I want ice cream because honestly, ice cream is not nutritious, and it's not filling like a meal. It's just it's to make myself feel better. So I realized that, okay, so I'm a snacker.
Yeah.
And that's something I've had to like really pay attention to because I'm not really sure why I snack. And I just love snacks. I mean, you could see, if you guys looked at my desk, I hide these snacks behind, my monitor at work because I haven't quite given up this need to have like something if I need it, even though I'm not hungry. I've eaten the right breakfast. I've eaten the right lunch. But throughout the day, if I maybe am stressed, like with patients or something, or things are, overwhelming, then I will sit there and eat my snacks. And I know that it has to do with me making myself feel better in some emotional way.
Yeah. So what you're saying then, if I understand correctly, is that you're using the food as a way to help yourself feel better in the moment.
Right.
Yeah. So that's when you say you have an emotional relationship with it, what you mean is it's making me feel better. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it makes me feel better.
It makes you feel better. So I actually
It's not nutritious.
It's not
nutritious. It's not broccoli.
Okay. So I actually went to the dictionary because I'm like, what exactly? Because remember, in my coaching training, I'm trained to always, anytime somebody makes a statement, we want to like pick apart the exact words. And so I looked up the word emotional, and the word emotional means arousing or characterized by intense feeling. So the food could bring you an intense feeling and arouse an intense feeling. Would you agree with that definition of it?
Yes.
Yes. And then I looked up the word relationship, and it said a state of being related or interrelated or a romantic or passionate attachment. And I was like, passionate attachment sounds really a lot like what I felt like my relationship with food was. Like a passionate attachment to having certain types of foods at certain times of day or whatever. Does that make sense to you as well? Or
yeah, that definitely makes sense. I mean, when I think about let's see, how about like birthday cakes?
yes.
Because I know that if I was eating the way I'm supposed to be eating, I would not have a need to eat birthday cake at a party.
Right.
But I can't picture having a birthday party without a birthday cake.
I know.
And that's always been a big deal. So
right.
I feel very passionately about birthday cakes at birthday parties.
Right.
Or certain meals. My favorite meal is macaroni and cheese. And when I am stressed out or my family's really stressed out or we're, having, I don't know, whatever's going on, we all crave macaroni and cheese. It's not nutritious, but we need it so bad because it makes us feel better.
The quintessential comfort food. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Comfort food. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason it's called comfort food because it brings comfort, right? So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I had a friend who was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and her friends came over and I was there that night, and we just all had comfort food. We had macaroni and cheese, we had brownies, we had bread, we had wine. It was just all as we're getting used to this whole idea that this beautiful friend of ours is going to be going through cancer treatment. And there's always that fear of death in the background. Although these days, breast cancer is certainly not a fatal diagnosis by any means, but it was just shocking, and so we were just like comfort. So, and mac and cheese was a part of it for sure. So, yeah. So I think, yeah, we do develop these passionate attachments to using food as a way to help ourselves feel better. It's interesting because one of our patients actually, she loves to write and journal, and she brought me a written description of what her relationship with food was like. And I just want to read that. I want to read what she wrote because I think it's profound. And she said, she's writing this letter to food. So imagine this is addressed to food. She said, "I'm pretty sure I loved you the moment I met you. If you were to ask my parents, they would probably say the same thing. She said, I was first introduced to you in the good old South, raised on the commandment-like guide that you were the primary love language." So I'm just interjecting my own comments here. We are oftentimes sort of conditioned that food is love. She says, "How many times I've heard it said that you were the way to a man's heart. I saw this truth in my own eyes when my mom would bake for hours for her 4 brothers and her only son, or as my father would light up at supper when he walked in to greet you. I remember just how he would sparkle at the mere sight of you. It doesn't go unnoticed that every visit to a loved one's house involved you being offered around as a token of one's love. So no, it doesn't surprise me that in you I latched on to the most important feeling in the world. Yes, I fell in love with you as a child. From the earliest age I can remember, I waited for you, excited at every attempt to consume your powerful love, not caring when or how much of you I placed within me. I craved you in every sense of the word. You instantly became my childhood best friend." So you can see, I don't think her experience is unusual at all. I have experienced exactly the same thing. And you can see that this emotional relationship starts very, very early in childhood, right?
Oh, I could never describe it like that. Those are the most beautiful, powerful words. I've actually I'm not even sure if I've read this before.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah. I mean, she's a beautiful writer, and it's poignant, and it's a perfect description of what happens.
It is. Yes.
And so, I've talked on previous podcasts about how she's not talking about chicken and broccoli again, remember? She's talking about baked goods, and comfort foods and sweets and all of that. I just want to remind our listeners that, I've done previous podcasts on how these foods are engineered and designed to produce huge dopamine spikes in our brain. And dopamine is the pleasure center. So these heavily processed foods are engineered to produce this response that feels like love in our brains. And the food industry is actually purposefully targeting children because they know that if they can find a way to get children to love their products as friends, to develop this emotional relationship at a very young age, they're going to have a customer for life. And I also want people to understand, this is very much like a drug addiction. And as a matter of fact, there are many people who try to, they develop struggles with their weight in childhood or early adolescence. And then when they see that there are illicit drugs available that can get them off the food and get them skinny, then they will turn to drugs as well. And this has happened. This happens frequently, actually. And so I just want people to understand, when food brings this much pleasure, people will often think, what's my life going to be like without this awesome friend? How am I going to get through my day? Right? And you sort of talked about that. You're like, well, I have my snacks. I need my snacks to get me through the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's,
well, I was thinking, so this reminds me of a conversation that I just had with Michelle, who's our nurse practitioner at the clinic.
Uh-huh.
So we were kind of in this discussion, I think it was about a week ago. And I said, okay, Michelle, what is the most addictive, sugar, heroin, or crack? And she said, hands down, sugar.
Yeah.
So if people can wrap their minds around that,
yeah,
that people say, oh God, don't do heroin. It's so addictive. It is the worst. Don't do that stuff. Oh, crack is whack. Don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, people don't think the same about sugar, and it is much more addictive.
Yeah.
And and you won't know that you're so addicted until you try to quit eating sugar.
Right.
Oh no, I mean, I can do without it. I can take it or leave it. Well, try to do a 5-day sugar and flour detox and then see how you feel.
Exactly.
Once you're not doing it, then you realize how much you focus on it. And it's you go through this grieving period.
Yes.
Especially if you have an emotional relationship with food. It's you lost your best friend.
Yeah. It's so true. I've actually had people tell me it's all of my family traditions revolve around food. And so it's suddenly if I decide not to do that, I'm no longer a member of the family.
Oh, I hear that all the time.
Yeah. It's so we get these feelings of belongingness. And we've also talked about this in the past podcasts about how belonging to a group is a primal need. It's how we survived. So if you feel like you're doing something that's against group norms, so if you're doing something that's against what your family has raised you to believe, then you have to deal with some intense anxiety coming from your primitive brain that's saying, oh my gosh, you're going to be left alone. You're going to die.
Right.
Because that's what your primitive brain is going to think.
Alone.
Yeah. 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 So I just want our listeners to understand that, if you've been on diets in the past and you've tried to give this stuff up and you felt like a failure because it didn't seem to work, there's nothing wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Your brain is perfectly normal. And your brain has, from an early age, developed basically a romantic attachment to food. And so learning how to live life without this romantic partner in your life this, what was the word? I gotta go to, a passionate attachment, living your life without this passionate attachment to food is going to bring profound changes to your body and to your health, but it's also going to require profound changes in the way you think about food as well. It's a little bit like, breaking up with a romantic partner that you suddenly realize is not good for you.
Right.
Like they're emotionally abusive. They cheat on you. They cause you to feel awful about yourself. But at the same time, like they're all you've ever known that brought you any pleasure. So
yeah,
it's a little bit like that.
Right. I wanted to interject something too, because I don't want people, because I'm almost getting the wrong idea when we're talking about an emotional attachment to food. Okay. Not all food.
Right.
Because we have to eat. Okay. We have to eat. That's what keeps us alive. Okay.
Right.
So it's not an emotional attachment to food. It's an emotional attachment to sugar and flour and carbs, high carbs that are not good for you. Even salt. It's the things that we ingest that have no nutritional value, and yet we can't live without.
Right. It's the processed food.
Right. Right. Exactly.
The factory food. You're not going to have this issue with vegetables, with whole vegetables and protein and healthy fats. You're not going to have this. You're going to have this issue with chips and dip, or with cookies, or with brownies, or whatever. Ice cream. You mentioned ice cream. Macaroni and cheese. Macaroni and cheese is actually very highly processed food.
Oh, it's so bad for you. I know it is.
Yeah. So I have a mentor who says, imagine that you aren't eating anymore, that you don't eat anything but this one, like you have this one bar. She calls it a sparkle bar. And so imagine you eat a sparkle bar, and the sparkle bar has all the nutrients and all the fiber and all the calories you need for an entire day. I kind of imagined it to be like these MREs that our soldiers get when they're out in the field, although MREs are really horrible. But imagine that the sparkle bar is just kind of like that. There's nothing, you can eat it, but it doesn't give any great joy or pleasure. But it does have everything that you need. It's very nutritious, and it just gets your body fed. And so then the question becomes, okay, if you just had a sparkle bar every day and you weren't using food for this passionate attachment or this emotional connection, what would you do? Like, how would you entertain yourself? How would you celebrate? What would you do when you were going out with friends? Like, could you just go to a restaurant and just have some sparkling water or some tea and just enjoy your friends without food? How would you manage your anxiety or your restlessness? Like, could you just sit on a couch and watch TV without popcorn or chips? How would you reward yourself at the end of a long day? And of course, we don't want to substitute alcohol or cigarettes or any other type of mind-altering drug for food in any of these situations. That could actually be even more dangerous. So it's something to think about. Like if you have this emotional relationship with food, how are you going to manage your life? Right? What do you think, Marshall?
I think this is this big awareness right here.
Yeah. It's huge. It really is.
Yeah.
It's like, and I don't think that most people have any idea of just how big of a role food plays in their life. I don't think they do. And I also want to say it's perpetuated by our society. It's perpetuated in our advertising. It's definitely perpetuated by the food industry. You will see, if you pay attention to food advertising, it's very interesting to see just how it is that they try to get you to envision food as your friend. Like, you deserve a break today, come to McDonald's. Or
exactly. Even like somehow the food industry entices people to drink those monster drinks. Okay, grossest things on the planet.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't taste good. They're not good for you. but somehow that company is making millions of dollars.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think that people are aware. I think there's a ton of people in America and, probably I don't know about the rest of the world. I'm just going to say America.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a ton of people living in guilt and shame, feeling that they don't like the body that they're in. They feel like crap every day. They're eating fast food. They, because their jobs are overwhelming. They don't have, got to get the kids to soccer and go here, go there, or I'm working, 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And so they have to get something on the go. I hear that a lot. Like, if I just had the time, I would eat better, but I don't have the time. So I choose to eat like crap. And so I know that people around the nation are feeling bad every day. And they, like I said, they sit around in their guilt and shame, and they really just have no idea how to change it.
Yeah.
They want to change it. They want to eat better. They want to do better. Because I think we all have this underlying knowledge, because we were all taught like the food pyramid in school, the 4 basic food groups type of stuff, in health class. We all have been taught sort of, like what healthy foods are. And there, Snickers was not on the food pyramid. but
it does have nuts in it.
1,000 Snickers in my life. Exactly. It's got nuts in it. It's healthy. So, I mean, I just feel like this kind of awareness, this is why we do these podcasts. It's because usually it's you and I sitting around BSing about something. Yeah. And then we get on a subject and you're like, oh man, we got to do a podcast about this, because if we bring this kind of awareness to other people, then they're going to understand that there is a way out of this. You don't have to live like this forever. And it doesn't mean you need to come buy somebody's ready-made packaged protein meals.
Oh, gosh.
To help you lose 30 pounds in 30 days or whatever. Yeah. All of those diets are not intended to be sustainable.
Right.
They know that you're going to have reduced calories. You're going to be starving. You're going to hate life for 30 days, but you're going to drop all this weight, which is mostly water weight at first, just saying. Yeah. You're going to drop all this weight, and then at some place you're going to crack. Either you can't afford to keep buying their ready-made meals, or you just can't do it anymore. And the minute that you stop doing it, not only do you gain the weight back, but then some, because it comes on so easy. And I've lived that life. Yeah. Where I've gained weight, but not just the weight that I lost. I gained 20 more pounds on top of it. And it just came on just like that. Yeah. And so, I mean, this kind of awareness is like opening the gates to people being able to change, people having the knowledge that they're not broken. They're not failures. No. This is, the food industry is the enemy. Like, they are tricking all of us into thinking that this crap that we eat, these processed foods, is food. It's not even food. Yeah, exactly. It's a drug. It's a powerful drug. Yeah. Yep. Well, one of the ways that we can help is, I've been doing obesity medicine for 14 years now. And what I realized over the years is that people need more help than just learning how to eat properly. Because how many times have you heard, I know exactly what to do, I just can't seem to make myself do it. And the reason is because there is this emotional relationship with food, and our brains don't know what else to do. Imagine if you tell your brain, okay, here's this thing that brings us really intense pleasure and helps get us through your day. We're not going to do that anymore. And as a matter of fact, in its place, you're going to have pain, because now you don't have anything to help you with that anxiety. So now you're going to also have to deal with that anxiety. So it's holy smokes. So now I don't get the pleasure of the food anymore. And I also have to deal with the pain that I have been that I have been avoiding using this food as a distraction. And so people really need new and different skills and new and different understanding. And so this is why I developed the online membership. It's called Empowered Weight Loss. And what we're doing in Empowered Weight Loss is we're teaching you
what do you do? How do you manage this? How do you manage your life? How do you manage your emotions? How do you manage all of these cravings that you're going to have without turning to food? And it's a process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not some quick and dirty, let's lose 30 pounds in 30 days kind of BS. And it's not you buying bars and shakes. It's not you signing up for something where you get stuff delivered to your doorstep. It's you learning new tools and new techniques. And it's a process. It starts with a 30-day done with dieting boot camp. Okay. The boot camp is awesome because the boot camp is going to teach you exactly what's going on in your physiology. In other words, your body's metabolism, and what's going on in your brain that is creating this disease of obesity and what to do to manage this disease. So when people go through the boot camp, they'll lose weight fairly quickly if they do it day by day the way I have it designed. But we also have to recognize that 30 days is just the starting point. That's why it's the boot camp. Like, you don't go into the army and do your boot camp and then you're done. The boot camp is preparing you for what is to come, right? So that's why we have the membership. And so you're going to learn skills in the membership that's going to help you deal with, what do I do now that I'm not using food as my emotional crutch, basically? As it's like I said, it's like sort of breaking up with a bad boyfriend, an abusive boyfriend. It's like, what am I going to do now? And how do I relearn how to live my life? And it really starts with your thought, because your thoughts are what eventually creates your life for you. And so we're teaching you how to think in the membership. We're teaching you how to change the way that you think. And when you change the way that you think, it's not just your body that's going to change, it's everything about your life that's going to change. And that's why I always say, the weight loss journey done well is a journey of personal evolution. And the skills that you learn in the weight loss journey done well are skills that are going to serve you in all areas of your life, not just in your health. So if you're interested in that, you can just go to JourneyBeyondWeightLoss.com. And you'll see a tab there that says 30-day boot camp. And you can look into that and sign up for that if you're interested. And once you're done with the boot camp, then you can join us in Empowered. You get free access to the Empowered Weight Loss membership while you're in the boot camp too. So you can start learning some of these skills while you're getting your body's metabolism rebalanced too. So that's the cool part about it. So I just want people to know, there's help with this. I don't want you to underestimate how important it is to get the right support. It just is. It's important to get the right support, to stop all the crazy diets and learn how to do this properly. We've got all kinds of awesome support for you.
So I wanted to just jump in here for a second because so this is your program. So just speaking from somebody who has been a part of the program. So I guess I can equate it to this. So with me, I was over drinking and I was feeling like crap, and I wanted to stop, but I didn't really know what else to do. And so just stopping, then I'm like, well, now what? Because now I am resentful and I'm stuck in my emotions that I tried to escape.
Yeah.
And so basically what this is like is, if you were an alcoholic and you wanted to stop drinking, and you can not pick up the bottle, you can physically stop drinking, but then you need support, you need a community, you need some accountability, you need to find out the tools for lasting sobriety, not just I can go a week without drinking, or I could do a sober January,
right?
Like that kind of stuff, because, there's always going to be you're going to go back at the end of whatever time period, which would be a diet, right?
Right. Exactly.
So then like Alcoholics Anonymous is, this program where you get this support and they take you through these 12 steps to like really break down the reason why you drink. Because really, like, the problem isn't the eating or drinking. That's just a solution to the problem. Honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So really, the problem is with our thinking. Like, I have a thinking problem, not a drinking problem, not an eating problem.
That rhymes. That's good.
Right? I know, right? I know. I need to make like a little song out of it. But so, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about this empowered weight loss. And the, done with dieting, the 30-day boot camp. I mean, that boot camp word might throw people off a little bit, so that don't know about what your program offers. So that's why I just want people to realize it's this kind and gentle way of being able to deal with the reasons why you have an emotional relationship with food and form this new identity and work through like some deeply rooted issues. And most of America is addicted to processed foods. I mean, we are all in this together. Yeah. It isn't like one person has a problem and everybody else is doing okay. I mean, we see this all the time with people. You don't have to feel alone. And what I love about your program is it gives you this community support where you start to realize that you are not the only one like this. There's nothing that you're going to be able to say in these, like your Tuesday support meetings. There's nothing you're going to say that all the other people there don't understand.
Exactly.
Or relate to or say,
exactly.
Oh my gosh, you do that too? I thought I was the only person. So, I mean, it just gives you, it's just whole new lifestyle. And that's why, this 12-step program, it like breaks things down, walks you through it, from A to Z and helps you, if you really like work the program, then you can make these long lasting, sustainable changes in your life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay somebody for, like you said, a delivered box to your door.
Exactly.
Or, because it's just like a Band-Aid on the problem.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, so I guess that's my way of describing this. I hope that
I think there are a lot more people in this country that struggle with with processed food addiction than struggle with alcohol addiction, for sure. Which is why Michelle said sugar's a way more powerful drug than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hands down. She said easy sugar.
Yeah, for sure. And like you wouldn't give a 2-year-old a beer. But we certainly will give a 2-year-old sugar.
Yeah,
it's just
true. I know. We got to change the awareness of all this stuff. I mean, this is a big thing.
It's
Whoever's
big.
Listening out there, this is a big thing.
It is. All right. Well, I think that we have done a good job of helping to explain the emotional relationship with food on this podcast. I would encourage anybody who's interested in learning more to head to the journeybeyondweightloss.com website. And hopefully we will see you in the program because it is awesome. And we're here to help. I mean, it's a tough problem and we're here to help. And we will do everything we can to help you. So take care, everyone. And we will see you next week. Bye now.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.